Hi, and welcome to Friendship, Wellness, and Wisdom, the podcast where two friends, Rachel and
Heather.
get together and talk about life, learning, and just a variety of ways to take care of yourself, deal with life's twists and turns, and all the changes that are, well, inevitable.
Mhm.
So that's what we're going to do today. Heather?
We're thrilled that you joined us today because today we're diving into a topic of embracing change and personal growth and wellness. Change is something we all encounter in life, and we have to learn how to navigate through all of our things. It comes at us sometimes pretty quick, and then other times we make conscious choices to change, right? And so, Rachel, would you like to kick us off when sharing your experience with change as you enter your new ventures?
My new ventures in life. Yeah, it's just it's so funny. You get so used to things the way that they are, and I've got two girls, and for the longest time, a huge part of my life and my day was running them around. And even when they were old enough to drive themselves, then it was just like an array of, hey, can you take care of this for me? And, just teenage girls coming and going
Hmm.
at different hours. I didn't know who I might be hosting or cooking for. Or who was showing up for dinner, like, and who was going to be going, in and out at what hour. Um, so very recently, we had a huge change because our older daughter had come home from college, and then our younger daughter, instead of staying away, was commuting to college. So we had both of them in the house again. And then just as soon as that happened, they both kind of left. So I had, one come home and start working, and the other one was commuting into the city. And as soon as one decided, okay, well, you know what, I'm gonna go live closer to school next year, the other one was like, oh, you know what, I'm out too. And
Mm.
I went from like having everyone home and like kind of, chaos to everyone being gone. And then my husband and I kind of had to figure out how our relationship worked again without all this traffic going through the house. It was me, him, and the dogs.
Right.
And it's just such a different dynamic. And it's so weird because I'm like, okay, well, now we'll be interacting in a completely different way.
Hmm.
And that was kind of strange. So that required, conversations and just, both of it was nice that we both noticed that it was happening. And
Right.
it was like, hey, like, let's talk about this because we're kind of at a completely different stage. So, like, what do we do together moving forward? Um, and it was kind of nice that we have that kind of relationship where we're just like, okay, like, hey, things are changing for us. What
Right.
are we gonna do about it? And he has his own business, and I had for years been I've had this idea of how I wanted to have this wellness based business, and I wanted to have exercise videos, and I wanted workbook pages, and I wanted to come up with like scheduling and all these different things just to help people who were busy, who had these crazy lives like I had, kind of find the time and the desire to care for themselves and to know that there was simple ways to do it and to sustain that, or even just to get started and then to expand on that.
Right.
And when I had first started doing it, like the technology was not there like it is today.
Hmm.
Now there's so many great like apps and things that are just very like at your disposal and easy to use. Like at that time, I would have had to have when I wanted to start it, I would have had to have like hired like a videographer and
Hmm.
spent all this money. So I kind of low key just started writing blogs about what I did with my time and how I just found kind of like me time in everyday things, how to kind of change my perspective and how to change your perspective on like simple daily routines that you could kind of elevate in some way to
Hmm.
to kind of make it more like fulfilling of your time. And that was fun for a while. And, I tried different ventures here and there. Um, but I had never really gotten it going. So when this time and actual space kind of presented itself, because I now had two rooms in the house that
Mhm.
weren't being used, I thought, okay, well, now's the time to take advantage of this because you never know. Like, you have your kids and they're gone for now, but
Mhm.
they could very easily show up again. So,
I don't know
I was
anything
like,
about that.
yeah, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take advantage of this. And I started in mind with, yes, I wanted to do these exercise videos and I wanted to have kind of like, courses and like maybe an exercise subscription with all these things that you could look for. But I also wanted to have, like I said, you workbook pages and this and that. And so I started trialing things out by using Instagram and TikTok and putting things out there and just to see like what the response was, getting feedback, figuring out, like getting my feet wet, figuring out what I wanted to do and how I wanted to present it. And I did that for like a good year while I kind of pondered putting courses together. And it just wasn't like I wasn't getting both things done at the same time. So
Mhm.
because I was so focused on social media, I wasn't spending the time that I wanted to be spending putting my courses together. So I
Right.
was like, okay, I stopped. I looked at what I was doing, thought about what I wanted. It was like, all right, I need to focus on this aspect. And it's funny because starting in doing that, we started having conversations and you were talking about what you were doing and it kind of sparked this whole interest and then we started sharing back and forth and helping each other out with what
Mhm.
we were both prospectively working on. Um, and the point I kind of want to make here with this is like, okay, I had an idea. I started sharing it. I took that first leap and kind of put myself out there. And then in doing so, it brought us back together again and created something new. And I feel like, okay, so the first step is, you want to realize what it is you want to do when you have this opportunity or need for change. And then at some point or another, you're going to have to put yourself out there. Like there's
Right.
no way around that. It can be in a big way or it can be in small ways just to kind of get you
Mhm.
started, but it's definitely required. You're going to have to take some sort of step forward.
Right.
Um so, with where I am at now, I am just about finished with my first course. My website is almost there. I have a lot of moving pieces. I got headshots taken, so I have pictures I want to put back up, and I've been working on writing, and I have all this stuff sort of at the ready. And sooner than I'm probably ready for. A
Mhm.
lot of that is going to go out there. But again, like I'm like, this is what I wanted, and you kind of have to put yourself out there. So that's the stage I'm in while I'm still trying to I have a full-time job. So I work my regular 9 to 5, and then I come home and sometimes I do some work in the evenings. A lot of times I will save things up for the weekend when I know I have daylight and quiet time and enough energy to put those things out there. So sometimes the evening I'll work on the scripted part of it,
Mhm.
and then on the weekends I'll put it together. And that's been a little bit of a challenge and a balancing act because I'm like, I come home from work and I'm tired. And sometimes I just don't feel like working on this stuff. But I'm like,
Mhm.
I want it bad enough. So I make the time and I
Right.
put in the effort. And, it's really starting to take shape and it's really kind of exciting. So let's see. Yeah, maintaining confidence and motivation isn't always the easiest thing to do. Like you hit snags,
Yeah.
you find things that are not working out quite the way you want them to. And I've just been putting out some things that I thought were not the greatest and have gotten sometimes some of the best responses
Mhm.
from the things that I thought were going to kind of like fall flat.
Right.
So I feel like it's really important just to like, you know what? I did this and I'm going to put it out there and I'm going to see what response I get to it. And that's that's a little rough. Like it can be a help or a hindrance to your confidence, but I feel like, if you keep going with it, you have nothing to lose and everything to learn. Because if
Mhm.
it doesn't work, then you just rework it and you put it out there again. to kind of find your new like way and home with that. Um, and there's one thing I found, like change is just always going to be there. Things are always going to change. And it's
Mhm.
really how we decide to show up and meet that change that's
Right.
occurring. Sometimes change is so small and so insurmountable that we don't even notice that it's happening. It's like
Mhm.
tiny little steps of progression. And it's just really kind of easy to like ebb and flow with it and just kind of float through. And then other times change comes like crashing down at us. And we all of a sudden just have this completely different like day to day than we were used to.
Right.
Um and that can be, and that's when you just have to stop, I feel like, recognize what's going on and start to make choices. The point I really kind of wanted to bring home is like change is just always going to be there.
Mhm.
And, your choice comes in how you want to meet that, like how you want to show up and make use of, what's presented to you, and and just saying, hey, I have a choice here. Am I going to choose to do something I really want to, or am I going to kind of fall into well, I should do this with my time and I should be doing that with my time, and kind of, fall into another just routine.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think that's I think that's the biggest thing, is noticing what you have available to you and just making the choice to take on the challenges and the rewards of meeting that change that's happening within your life.
True. True. Yeah.
So,
So how do you feel about your changes right now?
it's on a day to day. There are days where I'm just like, I did this and now I've created all this work for
Mhm.
myself. And it's funny though, because I'll think I've created all this work for myself and I'll catch myself smiling about it because
Mm.
it's work I really want to be doing.
Right.
So, I've been very good at just letting myself be like, all right, you know what? Today is not the day to get this done. I'm not clear headed. And what I put out today, I'm probably not going to be happy with tomorrow. So it's like, okay, today I rest. And then, when I have a clear head,
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to it. And I have everything fairly well organized and some time scheduled out, and then plenty of time to kind of be free with. And it's been working really well for me,
Mhm.
because because it is mine. I don't have hard deadlines.
Mhm.
Um, I've really been able to do that for myself. And I love that. Like
Awesome.
that's been a great, um, feeling for me, is just to be like, okay, this is mine and I'm creating this. And
Yeah.
here we go, like just full steam ahead. So I'm actually really loving it. I'm glad about my decision. I'm glad that I took charge and I created this space for myself to be able
Mhm.
to do this work, that that you and I have like really reconnected on this level and have started this podcast, because then it's inspired me to know that I can very easily, once I have the material together, start putting something out there that's going along with the blogs that I'm putting out. And
Right.
all these little things kind of seem to have come my way, and like, oh, well, I can use this and here's another tool that I can use. And it's
Right.
funny, like when you start kind of embracing all of that,
Mhm.
what you're looking for starts finding you. And
Right.
I think that's been tremendous. Um,
Awesome.
that discovery of all of that, like literally just seeing, hey, I was looking for this, and it just kind of found me in an Instagram feed or like through a TikTok, or
Mhm.
someone mentioned it to me, and that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So,
It's like creating an algorithm.
yeah, and it's pretty, it's been very, very cool. And it's just funny that, we've been getting together and our lives are somewhat similar in the fact that we are like reaching this changing point right now,
Mhm.
but we're in like completely different spaces
Yeah.
and situations
Yeah.
at this point. So, yeah, what's going on with you, and what are all the changes that you are dealing with now?
Ah, so I feel like I have always lived in change, right? I lived on the road before it was cool, before before people were doing it as a lifestyle. And I have always just profound change, right? And not little changes, like you were talking about, your changes are little, and sometimes you don't even know that they're changing and everything. My life has always been like drastic changes, right? From traveling across the United States to college life, single mom life, married life, um, working just as a blue collar worker, then moving into administration. And so my life has always been these huge leap changes. Um, and this one is really no different for me, um, because, like you said, your kids move out, you wind up being an empty nester or whatever. I have never had that. I have never been an empty nester. Um, you know, uh, it's kind of bizarre because I had the most time to myself when my kids were little and I was a single mom. That's that's when I had the most time for
That's pretty
myself.
funny.
Um, and and think about this. I was working two jobs and going to college. So, like, the thought process of that, but it was time that I was able to create just for me because I was alone when the kids were sleeping or when the kids were at school. So it was things that I structured to be the way they are.
Mhm.
And then fast forward, get into a relationship, get married. Um, the kids grow. My mom moves in, taking care of my mom. We were taking care of Alan's mom, my husband's mom, before she passed. Um, just, it's always been these huge life events, right? Each one of my boys, I have two boys, each one of them have moved out, moved back
Move
home,
back in.
um, moved out and moved home with people, moved out. And now, we have grandbabies and, all that stuff. The changes in our lives are so, so, I don't know, like they're just so vibrant and so energetic, right? Like you said, you made the statement that like you find yourself smiling
Mhm.
about, certain things that you're doing. And I find that just in life, right? I named my company See Life as Muse Creations for a reason,
Mhm.
right? Just because like everything that my life has gone through has been like these huge dynamic, like sparks of energy, right? Even when I don't think they're sparks of energy, like that's what you said. You were like, when you don't notice that they're
Right.
sparks of energy, and then you're like, oh, I'm grinning about this.
Yeah, you're like, "Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
alright."
Um, so, I, I, I have always been a creative. That that has always been in my life path. I've always been interested in yoga. That has always been in my life path. So those two things have been steady and stable, right? Those are probably the only two things that have been like this,
Consistent?
yes, consistent thing in my life because even when we were kids, like I have always been a creative. I've always
Yes.
either been writing or telling stories or drawing or, and so I've had these amazing times in my life. I'm an award-winning playwright. I'm an award-winning artist. I have my blog. I have two podcasts, this one and my other one that I read my blogs. I, just retired. So that's weird in itself. And the thing about retirement isn't that I retired and I'm not working. I'm
Yeah,
busier. I
working
am,
more now.
yes, I am busier now retired than I could ever imagine being. But I just said to a client, I said, I really don't work because everything that I do, I love.
Right.
right? So I'm now life coaching. I'm doing private yoga sessions. I'm holding larger classes for the stuff that I'm trying to get online. So I've built the chakra course and everything. I teach
Hmm.
that in person, and so I'm still doing that. So teaching that in person, and then now I'm trying to bring it to an online thing. I think the biggest problem for me with change is technology.
Yeah.
Technology like just kicks my butt because you were talking about how there's so many things now that technology can help you with.
Hmm.
And for me, there's so many things about technology and it moves so much faster than
That is true.
I do. But I am also the person that wants to, I, even if I hired somebody, I still want to know how to do it.
Yeah.
I still want to know how to do it because I'm curious. And if I'm putting something out there, I want to know how it gets done. That's just who I am. Um, so yeah, so my life, my husband retired also. So us being home together, that's a big change, right? Being home
Right.
all the
Are you really
time.
home? You're not home all the time though.
I'm home a lot more than
Right.
I have ever
But
been.
you do leave the house like 7 days a week. So
Oh, totally. And I leave the house periodically throughout the day. So like I'll teach a couple times in a day. So I go teach, come home, go teach, come home. you
yeah.
know, we take our granddaughter to school and, and things like that. So yeah, I'm still super busy, but the time that I have with the family is totally different, right? I
Mhm.
used to leave in the dark and come
Come
home
home
when,
in the dark.
when people were in bed.
Yeah.
And so, like, I would not see, like, I would only see my husband sleeping. That would be the only time I could see him for days, like days.
Wow. Yeah, that's
So, yeah, so I mean, it's just totally different, right? But my life is more consistent than it has ever been.
that's nice.
Yeah. So, in that change, I have a bizarre consistency because I have like my teaching schedule and my Reiki schedule and my coaching schedule. Like I have like all these schedules, but I do so much from home now,
Yeah.
right? But I have a really busy home, and I don't know if you can hear in the background, but like my boys are in the background, and usually the granddaughters are here, or like we just always have a busy house. Like the house is always alive, always like somebody's always popping, right? The house is always buzzing, kind of like you
Yeah.
were talking about when your kids were younger.
Right, before I mean, and it's still from time to time, like, we'll have friends and family come by
Hmm.
pretty often, but there's a lot more quiet time than there ever used to be, and I'm
Right.
just trying to kind of capitalize on a lot of that and create, like, once I have a pattern and I've created a workflow, it's so much easier to maintain the
Hmm.
things that kind of become, like, habitual,
Right.
right? So, like, you kinda get that habit, and your brain, again, like we've talked about this lots of times, your brain's like, oh, we do this. So
Right.
even when conditions change, your brain's like, no, but now we do this.
Right.
So you just kind of, it's easier to kind of continue through it because you've made it that habit, you've kind of wired it into your system.
Yeah.
And you keep carrying on with it, which
Yeah.
which is nice when you're choosing helpful, healthy habits and trying to work towards the things that you want to do as
Yeah.
opposed to trudging through and doing the things that you just kind of think you need to do.
Right. I think one of the biggest changes for me is I get more sleep than I have ever gotten.
Very important.
Yeah, but I mean, for multiple of years, many years, and I do hearken it back to being the single mom, working two jobs, and going to college. Um, I worked on 4 or 5 hours sleep tops. Like that
Yeah.
was my maximum amount of sleep. And now I get 6, 7 hours, and that's huge.
Yeah,
It's
it's a big
huge.
yeah. It's
Um, and so, things have changed. I'm doing more things for myself,
very
which
important.
is huge, right? I just hired a personal trainer and things like that. Her and I are swapping. I'm teaching her yoga. She's personal training me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice when you can work those like trades out. Like you
Hmm.
start, as you start moving through and creating this like time and space for yourself, again, like the things you need start to find you. So it's like you
Yeah.
guys are, like you found someone to then, swap that stuff with.
Right.
Again, like you and I were like, hey, I'm doing this, take a look
Right.
at this. And like,
Right.
oh, I'm doing this, take a look at this. And then we've gone back and forth and helped each other out and, you know, added our opinions and helped to spark some new like
Right.
interest or ideas, and it's been that's been fabulous because now I know too, like you showed me one thing and then all of a sudden like something else comes up that's similar and it was something I was already using.
So
All
let's
right.
go over just dealing with change to kind of really help people understand um, just some structure of dealing with change, right? So, our first thing for a structure of dealing with change is find the purpose for the change, right? Kind of identify what the purpose is for that change because it's important. We talk about this, once our brain gets on board, it
Mm-hmm.
makes a lot of things a lot easier to structure and work through, right? And then reflecting on the values of the what you want to do. And I put this one in here, reflecting on the values and the passions, because both of what we're doing right now are passion projects, right?
Yes, absolutely.
When you created 5 minutes for me, I mean, you created it a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a passion project, and now it's like it's on the train. I mean, it
Yeah,
is like full
it's
speed
a
ahead.
it's a for real thing. There's videos, there's a YouTube channel and I actually have a website and my courses coming in strong. So, but yeah, it's
Right.
there. It's real.
Yeah. And, I have Sea Life as Muse Creation, which is my creative outlet, which is painting and jewelry and things of that nature. And then I have the Bountiful Yogi, which is my life coaching and my blog and all that stuff for myself. And so these are passion projects, right?
And
And
together we have friendship, wellness, and wisdom.
yeah, yes, and together we have friendship, wellness, and wisdom, um, which is both on YouTube and Spotify. Yay. And then setting goals and taking action, right? You have to set the goal and take the action for the change to happen, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's no way to not take steps
Right.
to and to take some sort of action if you want to create some real change in your life.
Yeah. And the other thing is when change happens, when it's change that you're not ready for, or because things happen that
Always.
now
Life
you're
happens.
like, oh my God, now I gotta make a change.
Hmm.
Going through these steps as well when it's an unwarranted change is still a great thing to do. Is
Yeah.
like figure out what the purpose of the change is. Why did the change happen? Figure out how you can make it a more positive step forward, um, and
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
then embrace flexibility and resilience. Right, embrace those things that and honor yourself for being flexible and resilient, right? Really honor
Absolutely.
that you have you have gone through a change. There are things changing in your life, and honestly, be compassionate with yourself. Be compassionate with yourself about them, because change is hard. And even when you make a conscious decision to make a change, change is still hard.
Well, that's the same thing. We're going to go back to our brains. Our brains automatically default to what we do or what we say over and over and over again.
Hmm.
So if you try to like change your pattern, your brain is going to stop you at first because it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is not what we do.
Hmm.
But you still have that choice. You have that decision and you can say, no, this is what we're going to do. And once you kind of push past that scary part and see
Mhm.
that you're still okay, your brain is more apt to hop on board once it sees evidence that the change is safe.
Right. The other thing is change your verbiage, right?
Absolutely.
When you change your words, you change your world, right? Words are super important. Your brain gets caught up on the semantics of words. And so change the words that you're using.
Well, a simple change from this is scary to this is really exciting
Hmm.
can make a huge difference. Like when you're talking to your friends or telling someone about what's going on, like when you're like, oh my God, this is so scary. Well, you could actually change to, oh my God, this is so exciting, or this is
Hmm.
just so, energizing or invigorating, or,
Yeah. And
simple things like that.
look at the things as opportunities, right? Because change is an opportunity. It's opportunity to do something different, better.
Hmm.
Um, and then find support and connections for people that either have gone through it, people that are where you want to be,
Hmm.
people that will support you and cheer you on. Um, find support. There are groups and Facebook groups
Yeah,
and
absolutely. That's
all
the
these.
easiest place to find someone. Like
Yes,
if you don't have people in your life to help
right.
support you, there are so many groups out there. So there's always someone that you can connect with in
Hmm.
in one way or the other to kind of like talk to, or connect with in one way or the other
Right.
to help you with that.
And yeah, so I mean, um, just embracing it, right? Just wholeheartedly embracing the twists and turns of life, whether you chose to change or change just came at you.
Yeah, I mean, and both things are going to happen in your life. Like you're going to have times where you decide that you decidedly make a change, and there are going to be more times where life just goes, "Oh, you thought this was going to happen? No, 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 no. We're doing this instead."
Yeah,
And you have a choice. You have that choice at that time. Like it's happening regardless. So you choose how you show up and
right,
make the changes that you want to see.
right. Yes,
What is that? Be the change you want to see in the world.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. And when you go through things with grace and gumption, it's very inspirational for other people to see, right? And when you have good people in your life, and honestly, I can tell you, I've had so many strangers via my social media root me on, and
That's
I have
amazing.
now made like personal connections. Like I flew out to Boston to meet a ton of these people and was lucky enough to meet just amazing, amazing people in Boston. And I'm still connected with them. Right.
Yeah, that's great.
And so like putting yourself out there and really just letting people know there are people out there that are doing what you're doing. Maybe not exactly what you're doing because you can only do it the way you do it, but
Mhm.
they're fired up for you. There are people out there that want to see you thrive and succeed. And
Yeah, it's so funny, like, putting myself out there, right? And I'm nervous about getting, like I've had, like, very few negative comments and literally gotten some, what I feel like are, people who are like, "Oh my god, I love your stuff. When are you putting something new out? Like, I
mhm,
love doing this with," and you're like, people I've never met, like, I don't
mhm,
know, who started following me because they knew someone who knew me.
yeah,
Or
totally.
I'll go to a family thing and they're like, "Oh my god, I love," like, "I love what you've been doing. I've actually been, like, listening to the show, or I started doing your exercises while I'm sitting there at work, and, it's the only time I have to do it, so it's been really great." And, and while I'm writing this, I'm like, "I don't know how well this is gonna go over. I don't know if people are gonna critique this."
Right.
And, honestly, most of the responses have been pretty positive, which is
Yeah.
just wonderful.
Chris, your husband gave me a feedback the other day about my other podcast,
Mhm.
and I just hold on to that because it was so sweet. He goes, I listened to it. It's short and meditative.
Yeah, so and that's perfect, like, that's
Yes.
exactly what I wanted, like,
I was like, yes. you know?
Nailed it.
Yeah. And so I think people want to root you on. And drop it in the comments what you're doing because we want to root you on.
Yeah, we want. Yes, I would love to like share
Yes.
by all
eh,
means.
yes. And you drop it in the comments. We'll come check you out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm
We want
always
to,
looking for new ways to learn and
yes.
just like
Yeah. We started this because we think that no one should do it alone.
absolutely not. Yeah, so we're
Right.
here and like yeah, let's build a community. Let's be here to cheer each other on, to
Yes.
ask questions, to answer questions, to show support,
Yeah.
to just talk.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we definitely want to cheer you on. So we appreciate that you're here listening to us, and we want to be there for your journey as well.
Absolutely.
So um, a journey fueled by passion, purpose, and unwavering commitment to an enthusiastic change is the best thing that we can do. So whenever you deal with change, whether it's chosen or it's chosen for you,
Yeah,
dealing with it just with an open mind of opportunity.
absolutely. Yeah, look, change your perspective. When you
Yep,
look at things differently, the things you look at change. Like
yep,
so take that opportunity. Like yes, you're allowed to be scared.
absolutely.
And yes, like things can be difficult, but you can do it.
Yes, totally. And we're here for you. Yay! So until next time,
All right. Until next time, we will see you. Stay happy, stay strong,
yes.
embrace change, and just comment. We really would love to hear from you. So until next time, we'll see you guys. Bye.
Bye.